Welcome to Celestial Insights, a weekly podcast that brings the stars down to earth. I'm your host, astrologer, coach, and intuitive Celeste Brooks. My purpose is to provide practical, unique, and insightful guidance to help you navigate the energies of the week like a boss. Hello, this is Celeste of Astrology by Celeste, and on this episode, I will discuss the astrology for February 8th, 2026. The theme of this week is Big Little Lies, and there are three big things I want you to look out for as you navigate this week. The first is that tomorrow on Monday, the 9th, we have a last quarter moon at 20 degrees of Scorpio with the sun at 20 degrees of Aquarius. The sun and the moon are at right angles to each other, but the moon's light is waning. These are moments of inner reckoning. It's called the crisis of consciousness. We often realize at this time we can't move forward with the same emotional patterns, beliefs, or allegiances. Aquarius is the sign that rules friends, groups, and organizations, but also systems, collectives, ideologies. And Scorpio is the sign of power, trauma, secrecy, and emotional depth. These two can feel very cold and disconnected from the heart when they come together on the shadow side. This is great energies for spies who can detach intellectually with Aquarius, and with Scorpio be able to manipulate people emotionally. People can become abstractions, data, cases, numbers, rather than humans. This last quarter moon feels somewhat heavy. Many people are learning more and more about the Epstein scandal. There was a big drop of information from the Justice Department, and people reading this can detach and disconnect intellectually because they're reading such difficult material about trauma. I suggest protecting your energy. Scorpio can be ruthless when wounded. It can also be deeply healing after the trauma. And Aquarius can rationalize anything. So just think about these two energies when you are moving through this week. Where has the Aquarius sun been lighting up your chart? What house is it in? And where is this moon squaring? What house is this in? Squaring your Aquarius placements, or just look at the two houses. What comes to your conscious attention from your subconscious during this week? Scorpio can also be associated with the shadows, the things about ourselves we'd rather not admit or deal with. Manipulation, possessiveness, vengeance. It's a great time to just allow your conscience to bring these things up for healing, awareness, recognition. Now, at the same time we're having this last quarter moon, Venus, the planet of love, beauty, and harmony, is moving to the final degree of Aquarius. The 29th degree of each sign, called the ANGELIC degree, is one of crisis and decay, a karmic point. Now, it's in the sign of friends and groups and values, alliances. Relationships may be reaching a breaking point for some people. And Mercury, the planet of communication and thought processes, is in Pisces, which is a mute sign. Deception may be afoot. And every planet is now direct. So there is this forward momentum. We are stepping into a new timeline where we're finishing treading over old ground before the next phase. The Scorpio moon rules some of the most difficult aspects of the human experience: sexual trauma, abuse of power, psychological manipulation, death, debt, survival entanglements. At this last quarter moon, the moon is approaching an opposition with Uranus in Taurus, which is now direct at 27 degrees. And Uranus brings shocks, disruptions, and awakenings. And it's in the sign that rules money, resources, and the earth. A group of people, the moon, may be awakening, being made aware of something deeply emotional that's been building for a long time. This is the last moon phase before the solar eclipse at 28 degrees of Aquarius on September 17th, which opens a new 6-month cycle. So we're finishing up things from the last solar eclipse at 29 Virgo. So you can think about where that is in your chart. What have you learned over the last 6 months? What have been your experiences? This is your deep psychological integration of what has happened. And it may feel like an emotional detox, a clearing, a cleansing. The Sabian symbol for the Scorpio moon is obeying his conscience, a soldier resists. And I've been saying, I think Saturn, Neptune, and Aries at some point may be soldiers refusing orders, laying down their weapons and saying, we're not going to do this anymore because of moral courage, choosing integrity over fear. Now, this can also show up as whistleblowers, people walking away from things, refusing to participate in harm, breaking contracts that violate the soul. These ICE agents signed up for a 5-year contract where they get $10,000 a year. And if they don't complete the 5 years, they have to pay all the money back. It's indentured servitude, while the people in the administration are raking in billions. Their foot soldiers are limping by. And I heard recently that on Reddit, some of them are complaining that they haven't had a paycheck in months and don't have access to health insurance they were promised. So this could be about ICE. This could be about the actual military. Ask yourself some questions. Where am I being asked to choose conscience over my conditioning? Lots of people who were MAGA are leaving that movement, taking down the Trump flags. You can think about, where am I ready to lay something down, to release something that no longer is serving me? This week, emotions may feel a little raw. Just ground yourself, limit exposure to traumatic media. Breath work can be amazing. It depends on your chart, but some people will be feeling this energy very intensely. It can be very healing. And maybe you'll have a deep conversation with a friend who together you can work through your emotions. The 2026 Lunar Planning Guide is a digital, fillable guide that walks you through each moon cycle with themes, major transits, and journal prompts so that you can stay aligned with the energy. And beyond the moon, it includes all the key astrology for the year, the retrograde, sign changes, and major planetary events that shape the collective story. If you're looking for a clear, practical way to stay organized and grounded, this will help you track your intentions and make sense of the shifting energies in 2026. It's only $22 and the link is in the show notes. The next thing I want to make you aware of is that Venus will enter Pisces on Tuesday, February 10th through March 6th. The planet of love, beauty, harmony, pleasure, and attraction is in the sign of her exaltation. Venus rules what we desire, value, and what we compare ourselves to and what we covet. In The Silence of the Lambs, which is a very Scorpionic movie, We covet what we see every day was one of the topics related to Frederica Bimmel and that dress with the darts. And that's when Clarice realized what was going on with Buffalo Bill. Venus is where we seek approval, connection, and belonging. And Pisces is mutable water, emotional, spiritual, porous, symbolic. It's a sign of compassion, transcendence, a higher love because Venus is exalted here. But there's also themes of illusion, sacrifice, and the savior-victim dynamics. Love can become idealized with rose-colored glasses. Beauty really ethereal. Relationships can feel faded, romantic, or meant to be. But the shadow of this transit is projection, fantasy, and martyrdom. So Pisces can be an angel. We may be hearing more about the Romanian angels. Erica Kirk had some kind of charity, and she was kicked out of Romania because of children going missing. So this may surface again. There's stuff in the Epstein files that suggests these Romanian angels may be literally unearthed from the ground, but we'll see what happens. I think this is a big story of the next eclipse cycle, unearthing the Romanian angels that this group of sick elites use for their pleasure. Karma is coming due. It may take time, it may take years for justice to be served, but I truly believe it is coming. So just be aware, and you may ask yourself questions during this transit. What is real and what is being romanticized? Now, as I mentioned, Venus is exalted in Pisces. Exaltation is a measure of planetary dignity. Planets can be at home where they're really comfortable and the energy is expressed with ease. Venus is at home in Taurus, an earth sign, and Libra, an air sign. Well, it's exalted in Pisces, which means it's lifted up, honored, idealized, has a special seat at the table. You can think about people being exalted through their relationships, being elevated by someone else. This can look like someone who gains access, is lifted into a higher social world, receives a special seat at the table, or changes their status. Oprah is at home, but her friend Gail is exalted. Prince Harry is royalty. Meghan Markle is exalted by being married to him. Prince William is at home in dignity. Princess Kate is exalted by being married to him. These are themes of what exaltation can mean. As Venus is moving through the last degrees of Aquarius, the crowd and collective, into the first degrees of Pisces, notice if you see someone singled out, idealized, or exalted. It could be at work. Sally in accounting could get a promotion. It could be on the world stage. And in your own life, notice if you're being recognized, supported, or chosen for an opportunity, or receiving grace where you didn't expect it throughout this transit. Watch out for idealizing someone who cannot meet you where you are or sacrificing too much. Economically, Pisces dissolves boundaries, so watch out for emotional spending. There's inflationary themes, so we'll notice if we hear something about inflation as Venus moves into Pisces, or interest rates, but there's really blurred lines between worth and fantasy. But there's opportunities for magical experiences. This transit invites us into compassion, romance, spiritual love, but just remember to stay grounded and discerning. The next thing I want to make you aware of is that Saturn will re-enter Aries on February 13th through April 12th, 2028. We had some experience with this transit. You can think about what was going on in your life from the end of May of last year to the beginning of September. And you may be revisiting some themes from back then. Saturn is the planet of duty, discipline, karma, responsibility, and boundaries. It represents when we put long, sustained effort into something in order to have success. Now, Aries wants speed. Aries wants independence and action now. And that's why Saturn is in its fall in Aries. Fall is a measure of planetary debility. So planets are in detriment in the sign that they're opposite their home sign, where they're as far away from home as they can be, in a sense of exile, where it's hard to do what the planet, it's an unnatural place to be. And fall is opposite the sign of exaltation. So Saturn is at home in Capricorn and Aquarius, signs of governments and institutions like Congress. And it's in detriment in Cancer, where emotions decide what we're going to put effort in, and Leo, where ego and pride can get in the way of duty. And it's exalted in Libra. You can think about there's no harder work than relationships. They take so much effort. And in the sign of justice, it takes a long time to build a case, to bring justice. And opposite it in Aries. So Saturn wants to be patient and responsible and build slowly. Aries is act first and then deal with the consequences later. So we may see with this transit, leaders losing authority, executives stepping down or being removed from their roles. Reid Hoffman, the head of LinkedIn, just today, I'm recording this as Uranus stations direct on February 3rd, has been revealed to be in the Epstein files, wanting to go to this island. Also, systems are struggling. They're unstable. The UN is on the brink of collapse because the United States is no longer going to pay dues and other countries may stop paying dues. So this world order, where after 2 world wars, the world came together to try to bring more stability, this institution is on the brink of collapse as we move to the Saturn-Neptune conjunction. Also, NATO is on the brink. So Saturn, the structure, the authority, is trying to hold the reins in a sign that wants to break free, burn it down. It's especially significant for the United States because our IC is out 1 Aries. IC is the midnight of the natal chart. The IC is the midnight of the natal chart. And so as soon as Saturn goes into this sign, it moves to that. And the 4th house represents land, the housing market, the opposition party, rebels. And while Saturn is down there, it is going to be opposite the natal 10th house Saturn in Libra of the United States natal chart, which is at 14 Libra. So the United States is in a Saturn opposition, which brings in themes of pressure, and they can come from the outside. So the 10th house is the executive branch. The 4th house is the opposition party. There's tension building between the two, as well as the rebels. We see this as Saturn went into Aries, coincided last year with ICE going into LA and causing a lot of havoc and meeting a lot of resistance. This opposition highlights limits, blockages, and separation. We will be reckoning with what is no longer sustainable. The U.S., with our exalted Saturn and Libra in the 10th, We have had strong authority, laws, and institutions, but now we're really going to see this opposition is going to bring in themes of the people versus the state, the home versus the system. With FEMA being broken down, I have mentioned that I think this deep freeze is going to have longer repercussions for the country. And this year, Saturn will station retrograde at 14 Aries, opposite the natal Saturn in the U.S., and move back to 9 Aries in December before turning direct again. The part of your chart with 9 to 14 Aries will receive 3 hits. First forward, then backwards, and forward again. One of my teachers, Rebecca Gordon, calls that 3 coats of paint. This part of your chart, especially if you have planets or points here, will feel extra pressure, responsibility. There may be a need for restructuring or a call to maturity. And sustained, persistent effort may reap rewards. If you have planets in Aries, think about how Saturn coming there is going to bring themes of your personal responsibility. The opposite sign is Libra. You may feel pressure coming in from others or situations. If in Cancer or Capricorn, this is the square. There can be internal stress and adjustment. In Capricorn, it would be an opening square. In Cancer, it would be a closing square. Think about what you experienced last year. You may be seeing themes intensifying as Saturn comes to planets in your chart. This can be thought of as some kind of initiation. Saturn and Neptune meet on February 20th at 0 Aries, the most important transit of the year. Saturn structures, Neptune is dissolution of dreams and ideals. We're seeing structures dissolving, systems losing form, realities we once trusted melting away. I wonder if Ghislaine Maxwell is going to get a pardon. That would be a big wake-up call about how the elite and the powerful get away with things. She is supposed to testify for Congress on the day of the last quarter moon in Scorpio. If she keeps her mouth shut with Mercury in Pisces, she may be rewarded with a pardon at some point. Now, Saturn-Neptune is also making your dreams a reality. So what can you do to give form, Saturn, to your vision, Neptune? Opportunities for a creative rebirth. And this conjunction for the U.S. chart, you can think about how we're seeing communities protecting themselves, creating their own authority and their own systems in order to protect themselves. People organizing locally, neighbors becoming each other's support system, and citizens questioning who truly holds authority. Bruce Springsteen's song, and watch the video on YouTube of Streets of Minneapolis. I really suggest you do. I pulled the card from the Osho Zen Tarot Harmony for January, and when I saw it, I was like, what is this? This makes no sense. I was on the Postcards from the Universe podcast, and I pulled cards for each month of the year, and in my mind, it was like, this makes no sense. How is this going to show up? Well, I'll tell you how it showed up. Bruce Springsteen's song. It is a rallying cry of the revolution. And February's card was past lives. And we're seeing all these people being held accountable for Epstein stuff. Some lord in England is facing his karma. Peter Attia, who'd been hired for CBS, he's a doctor who gives health advice. He's been fired. He had some very vulgar emails to Jeffrey Epstein, and more dominoes are going to fall. But I keep reminding people, community is going to be the container as institutions falter. Build your people, your support, your village. It's not about fear. It's about preparation and maturity, choosing a responsibility as we move through a time that can feel somewhat chaotic. So ask yourself as Saturn and Neptune start to merge, what dream are you willing to build? What truth are you ready to live? And what structures need to change? This is the beginning of a new 36-year era. The last time they met was in 1989, 3 times in Capricorn. They're only meeting once this year. And the title of the episode, Big Little Lies, is a drama based on the novel by Liane Moriarty. She wrote the original story set in Australia, and it was relocated to Monterey, California for an HBO series with Nicole Kidman, Renee Witherspoon, Zoe Kravitz, and more that I watched the first season of. And it follows a group of women, most of them seemingly living perfect lives in a wealthy coastal community, Monterey, California, until a murder exposes the fractures beneath the surface. At its core, this story is about domestic abuse and trauma, which is a scorpionic theme, about power, control, and secrecy. Celeste Wright is one of the characters, and her marriage to a wealthy, successful tech executive really speaks to being lifted up into a higher social tier with that Venus in Pisces. And this group of female friendships and solidarity gives that themes of Venus moving from 29 Aquarius to Pisces. They move from more detachment to each other into more compassion and emotional truth. There's themes of power, class, and reputation, truth versus appearances, so that Piscean mask illusion and what people wear to survive is really in focus. So if you haven't read it or seen it, you might find it interesting. It's really in line with this energy of the week. One of my greatest joys is helping people understand themselves more fully. If you're wanting to make sense of your past, recognize the patterns that have shaped you, or get clearer about the path ahead, astrology can offer real insight. In our sessions, we'll use your natal chart as a map. You don't need to know any astrology at all. You can book a single session for clarity or choose a cosmic coaching package if you'd like ongoing support as you grow and plan for the future. Book your sessions at astrologybyceleste.com on the services page. On Sunday, the word of the day is heretic. On this day, Venus in Aquarius squares Uranus in Taurus. And Uranus is now direct at 27 degrees of Taurus, and Venus at 27 Aquarius. And Uranus is on the fixed star Algol, the beheading star. And this is also associated with the Medusa myth and Lilith, a woman who will not be subservient. So this transit represents this energy. People in the news may be talking about Ghislaine Maxwell, who is very much a Lilith, shadow Lilith type figure. The moon in Scorpio will square Mars in Aquarius at 12 degrees. Moon square Mars, a group of people are very angry. Now, Israel is a Libra rising. Venus is their chart ruler. We may be finding out something about what's next for Gaza that may cause even more outrage during this week, and what is going to happen to the people there as they build this freedom city and place for the lifestyles of the rich and famous to play. That's what they think they're doing. We shall see what happens. On Monday, the word of the day is decompose. We have a last quarter moon at 20 degrees of Scorpio at 4:42 a.m. Pacific time, the crisis of consciousness. And the moon phase family of this lunation began November 13th, 2023, when the sun and the moon met at 20 Scorpio. Did something start in your life around that time? What was seeded? Was it related to taxes, debt, death, sex, intimacy. There was a first quarter moon, August 12th of 2024, where the sun was in Leo and the moon in Scorpio. This could be like an ego death situation at this first quarter moon. August 12th of 2024. What was going on in your life around that time if you have anything in the fixed signs around 20 degrees? At the full moon, with the sun in Taurus, the moon in Scorpio, both at 22 degrees, May 12th, 2025, what was revealed on the axis of pleasure, power, and resources? And now we get to the psychological integration phase, the last quarter moon, sun in Aquarius, moon in Scorpio, both at 20. This is the day the Scorpio moon will oppose Uranus and Taurus, both at 27 degrees. You may have an internal awakening about something. It may feel like an internal earthquake. Uranus disrupts, shocks, awes, and awakens. And then the moon squares Venus at 29 degrees of Aquarius. Maybe you find something out about a friend or a group, or there's something about money that you send to a group could be coming up into your conscious attention. The word decompose, Scorpio, has associations with death. This is when Ghislaine Maxwell is supposed to testify. What questions will be asked of her? It's a closed-door hearing, so we may not find out anything, but it would be interesting if she decided to become a Medusa-type figure and take this whole house of cards down, elites who abused children. It is so enraging that the only person being punished by prison right now for these crimes is a woman. The moon enters Sagittarius at 11:21 p.m. Pacific time. Sagittarius is mutable fire. It is a big energetic shift from Scorpio deep waters to Sagittarius mutable fire, where people are ready to take action. The glyph looks like a horse, half man, with the bow and arrow pulled back, and that arrow's ready to go somewhere specific. This is a great energy over the next couple of days to move your body, get going. On Tuesday, the word of the day is angelic. This is the day Venus enters Pisces at 2:18 a.m. The planet of love, beauty, and harmony is exalted. Stay conscious about what your third eye sees. Maybe even take some time to clean it or energetically spruce it up. You may get an announcement that tells you something about who you're loved by in the spirit realm. The Sagittarius moon squares Mercury at 6 degrees of Pisces, and Sagittarius has associations with our philosophies. Think about what you're about to say, and can you move towards the Pisces energy where the North Node is rather than the Virgo energy where the South Node is? If you're getting ready to be critical of yourself or someone else, can you take a breath, look through your third eye? What is the announcement that the angelic figures with the bugles want you to know and say? On Wednesday, the word of the day is pictures. Mercury is conjunct the North Node in Pisces at 9 degrees. Think about words as pictures. Pisces is a mutable sign. We may be seeing video images of things that are disturbing. On Thursday, the word of the day is judgment. I'm getting a vision of the tarot card where it's related to the planet Pluto. It's the 20th card. If you look at the Rider-Waite tarot, it's open coffins and people rising up out of, looking at a figure. The Sagittarius moon squares Saturn in Pisces at 29 degrees for the last time of this 2.5-year cycle for 29 years. Notice what is coming up within you emotionally about your belief systems may be meet Saturn, reality causes you to have some internal awareness, and there's an internal judgment about how you think certain things are. A group of people could be having issues with non-potable water with Saturn at 29 Pisces. The Capricorn Moon begins at 11:44 a.m. Pacific time. So after this square with Saturn, the moon goes into Capricorn, the sign of its detriment, where it's as far away from home as it can be at 11:44 a.m. And then it's squaring Neptune in Aries at 0 degrees of Aries and 0 degrees of Capricorn. A group of people may become aware of something. Their eyes may be filled with smoke for some reason. I know there's terrible fires in Argentina or Chile, but it also can be like you have to believe your eyes. Neptune rules belief systems. Aries rules the head, the eyes, the brain. And on this day, Mars in Aquarius is King Kong's Jupiter in Cancer. Mars in Aquarius feels like groups of people in fighter mode, and they're all concerned with Jupiter in Cancer, protecting the homeland. This is happening at 16 degrees of both sides. But their judgment talks about what they think is right. People in ICE think they're on the right side, and everybody in the streets thinks they're on the right side. Avoid impulsiveness and jumping to conclusions. The Olympics are going on. I wonder if there's any kind of something we're seeing where someone is doing jumps with the skis. And on Friday, the word of the day is blindness. So I'm getting this snow blindness imagery. The balsamic moon begins at 9 Capricorn, and it's conjunct the fixed star Pisces, a star of poor eyesight. So be careful, protect your eyes. People will be seeing things they wish they hadn't. This fixed star is intense, and there's associations with real darkness with Pisces. And the new moon at the end of 2024 that the president was inaugurated under was at 9 Capricorn. And now his presidency may be in some kind of balsamic phase, the last phase of the moon cycle, where it's emptying out the rest of its light. This is the day Saturn enters Aries at 4 p.m. Really protect your eyes. And the Capricorn moon is opposite Jupiter in Cancer. A lot of people are far from home at the Olympics, 16 degrees of each of those signs. This is Valentine's Day weekend. Just be really mindful of your safety. If anyone gives you a water bottle, squeeze it to make sure nothing comes out. Be really careful if you're out around this time. Saturn in Aries is dark, heavy energy. So if you're out at a Valentine's Day stuff, especially in public, be mindful. You may want to wear your sunglasses at night. On Saturday, the word of the day is disappoint. The Capricorn moon squares Chiron in Aries at 23 degrees. This feels like some romantic partnerships where somebody's idealized things with Venus and Pisces. You have your Valentine's Day. You think you're going to get 10 dozen roses, all these chocolates, and you get toaster oven, and you're really disappointed. Please do not be expecting the best thing ever with this Valentine's Day. The moon's in exile. It's squaring Chiron, the wounded healer. Saturn's in Aries. Just be mindful to manage your expectations. The Aquarius moon starts at 10:16 p.m. Pacific time. Aquarius is a sign of friends, groups, and organizations. It's an air sign. Somebody may get really disappointed at Valentine's Day and say, let's just be friends. End of story. The sun will square Uranus on Sunday, so there could be energy of sudden breaks coming. Being awakened to the fact that I was living in a dream about this stuff, and this turkey is not doing it for me anymore. I could do bad all by myself. Just keep that in mind. Or can you look at what is really underneath the surface? Does this person really care about you, even though you didn't get the gifts that you wanted? How do they show their love? Maybe acts of service is how they show their love. Just think about it before you make some big pronouncement is what I would suggest. So that's it for this week's episode. Feel free to email me at celeste@astrologybyceleste.com with any astrology stories. Come for a reading. This is a great time before eclipse season, or let me know how the daily themes are playing out for you. Take care, and I will catch you next week. Thank you for listening to Celestial Insights. To learn more about my work, please visit my website, astrologybyceleste.com, where I offer personal readings, horary consultations, cosmic coaching, group events, and classes to help guide people to higher levels of fulfillment. You can also find me on Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, and Facebook at Astrology by Celeste. If you enjoyed Celestial Insights, please help others find the show. Follow, rate it 5 stars, or write a nice review. I would so appreciate it. I'm astrologer, coach, and intuitive Celeste Brooks, and I'll be back next week.